So this is about 5 minutes long. I'm going to warn you, it's pretty boring. Same time, it's important. I think that just listen to their words, listen to how they talk about things, listen to what he says in terms of this is just an entry point. So it's 5 minutes long. This is from Here and Now, whatever the heck that is, but it's worth watching for sure. Where are we? Okay.
The Wisconsin Pension Fund, ranked as one of the most fiscally sound in the nation, took bold action this year. It invested in Bitcoin. Most all government workers are part of the employee trust fund that pays out retirement benefits. But for a pension fund widely known for being stable, prudent, and smart with investments, is this a departure or right on brand? Our next guest says it's certainly turning heads. We should note PBS Wisconsin employees are participants in the Wisconsin retirement system. We are joined by David Kraus, Marquette University Emeritus Associate Professor of Finance. And thanks very much for being here.
Yes, thank you.
So what is the reaction within the kind of investment industry to this news?
The investment industry is pretty amazed that a pension fund this early in the introduction of the Bitcoin ETF came on board. They expected it might take several years before there would be institutional.
Okay, as we're watching this, I tried to remove the words there, the closed captioned, but they're not going away. So don't watch those. It's very distracting when the words are saying different things than they are. So just close your eyes.
Involvement with Bitcoin investing.
So Bitcoin ETF is different and apart from the kind of Bitcoins that folks might have in their digital wallets?
Yeah, that's right. It was January of this year that the spot Bitcoin ETF was approved by the SEC.
Has anybody seen that clip from like the early or late 1990s where they're on a talk show talking about the internet and talking about email and how you can send these email messages back and forth to anybody on earth? This reminds me of that, how slowly they're talking. You can tell that she's very unfamiliar with Bitcoin, but we're at the same kind of point right now as the internet was then with Bitcoin now.
That allowed investors like the university systems or SWIB in this case, the Wisconsin Investment Board, to buy directly these securities that are regulated by the SEC, highly liquid, and traded on exchanges.
Still, was it a surprise to you to see that?
It was, but Wisconsin's investment board has always been innovative. This is a fully funded pension fund. Mm-hmm. So in a way, they have the luxury of being able to invest for the long term. They don't need to worry as much about liquidity as, say, the pension fund for the state of Illinois, mm-hmm. which is only funded at 50% of its level.
So should it cause pensioners, though, or workers to worry given the volatility of Bitcoin?
A lot of assets are volatile. I mean, if you really were to look deep down into the portfolio, you would see that a lot of assets, including some stocks, as well as some other alternative investments, are quite volatile in nature. Yeah, Bitcoin has moved around a lot, but supply and demand are starting to balance out. And I do think the investment community is beginning to understand this more as a viable alternative investment.
So how much are they putting into Bitcoin compared to the fund itself?
Well, compared to the fund itself, it's just a toe in the water. It's 1/10 of 1%. Now, $180 million is not pocket change, but this is a $180 billion fund. I think it's just an entry point. I think they're testing to see the reaction of the public to whether or not there's resistance to owning this, and they're using it as a trial run, because it really is not going to impact the portfolio substantially until you get to maybe a 1 or 2% positioning.
Because I was going to ask you, what does your expertise tell you about whether this is a good investment for the pension fund?
Well, it's a good investment in the sense that it's going to add diversification. Mm-hmm. The objective of a portfolio manager or a fund is to maximize return while minimizing risk. Bitcoin, like other alternative investments, does not move in parallel with stocks and bonds. So therefore, it adds nice diversification effect. The potential upside returns are high, like as it could be with any new technology.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, because this is a currency with a limited supply, it actually can serve as an inflation hedge. I don't think very many people talk about the potential for it to remove volatility of government actions.
Do you expect other states to follow suit? Watch this closely and follow?
Oh, I do. I do. Now, I don't expect those that are underfunded can afford to do that, because this is a long play. I mean, the state of Wisconsin can afford to go through maybe several cycles. I think the long-term trend of this type of assets is going to be upward slope, but there's going to be dips, there's going to be peaks. But if you're a pension fund with low liquidity, you really can't afford long plays.
Do you feel like Wisconsin's investment in Bitcoin legitimizes it?
It does. The day that it was announced, that's when the SEC 13F form became available to the public. That day, Bitcoin went up 1%. Now, is it solely attributable to the fact that an institutional investor bought those? I think so. So I think the market did pay attention to that. And I would not be surprised to see other institutional investors move into this asset category.
David Krause.
David Krause. What do we think? What do we think? Dave did pretty good, I would say. I think he did a pretty good job of explaining it to the average person. You can tell that both these two people really have no idea what Bitcoin is yet. That's the funny part. But think about just where we are right now. This is a state pension fund, one state out of how many? 50? 52? I don't even know. I should know that. But one state pension fund on earth allocated 0.1% to Bitcoin. And this is what happens. All of a sudden, people are talking about it. People are seeing it on their TV. Why is the state of Wisconsin fund investing in Bitcoin? Maybe it's not as bad as they say. Maybe it is a legitimate asset. Maybe I need to start looking into this. And then other state pension funds start seeing this. Oh, Wisconsin State Fund invested back in 2024, and all of a sudden they went through this cycle, and this is the performance that they've had in this fund. It's going to take a very long time for that to happen, for people to take note, not only take note of what's happening here, but figure out what the best play is, how much they should be allocating, how they can explain it to their board. It takes a lot of time. And this video reminded me so much of the email. I'm sure most people have seen that clip from the 90s. If they're trying to explain the internet and email to people, and they're using this slow language and these mainstream terms and trying to compare it to different things, when really they had no idea what it was. Nobody knew what it was except for the nerds who were building it. And I think we're in the exact same spot now with Bitcoin as they were then with the internet.